Hi, this is Kave, and in this episode, I'm gonna migrate a sample app from MVVM to MVI architecture. I have a multi-modular app that have several features, and I'm doing this. I'm doing this migration, but when I want to migrate another module, I decided to record it and explain how we can migrate an MVVM architectural app to MVI. So let's do this. Uh, I'm not explain the difference between MVI and MVVM. I assume that you will be familiar with MVVM and MVI. If don't, you can watch my another video that I explained the difference between them and talk about these two architecture. So we jumped in view model. First of all, we need three entity: state, event, and intent or event, and effect. In Compose world, almost we use state like in MVI, and it's okay. We can use state like this, but in next step we need event. We need set up event and effect events. We can say this have very different implementation, and you can choose whatever you want according to your code base, but I like to use my own way, like use a contract. Contract is like very simple interface that contain all state, event, and my effects, in other words. So first of all, I create an interface for it and name it my feature name news list contract. That's all. And I move my state in it. As I mentioned, in feature level modules, we have screen, view model, and state. So in complex code, also we need classes for intent and effects. So with this interface, we can factor all three file into one file and code be more organized. I moved my state, and I don't want this anymore, so I delete it and delete anyway. It's not matter. So in next step, I want my events. I open up my screen and check where I use function call from my view model, and so I have this one only, and there is not any more. So I want to have a yes. So I want to have an event called unfavorite click. I can create a sealed class named event. I must rename it as state for more readability. And unfavorite click have argument, so I must to use a data class. Unfavorite click that have an argument named news, I guess. News like this, an inheritance from event class. That's all. Also, I can have another sealed class for my effect, and I don't want in this particular module, so I set it as empty sealed class. Why? Because I have some helper class in my library module in design system. You can copy paste it in your project. It's some of inline function and interface that I used for simplicity in my feature code section. I also implement a unidirectional view model that takes event, effect, and state as generic type. So I pass my event, that's define it in here, effect. That is why I define an empty body effect and a state. At last, we can say news list contract dot state and all's good. So I define my contract and everything okay. So in my view model, yes, in my view model, I implement my contract. News list contract. So for more speed up, I use my previous migration, and in this step, I want override two value and one implement one function. If I show you in unidirectional delta flow, I want to override a state effect and implement event function in view model. In this way, I'm forced my old view model to have three entity. So for example, in this example, I override these two. This is a public version of my state and effect. So I have a private one that be mutable one, mutable state that is mutable state flow, and an private effect channel that is a coroutine channel that I use, and the public one is a state flow and a regular flow to observed by my screen. So I can copy and paste it in here, and I must replace this contract to match with this contract, and I comment it for now. I delete it soon. And next step, I want to implement my event function. I can copy paste it again. It's okay. So fix the contract. And you can see in event, if I it's complained about it. I think I must rename it news. Good. And it's okay. If I comment it, as you can see, my when have error, because when you use when in assignment state, it be exhaustive, and it forced you to implement or mention all other possible branches, or forced you to have else branch to manage this assignment. And this is a good property. Also, if you have when in other section of app in a regular way, it can be exhaustive. You can add an extension function that if you Google it, you can find it, and it makes your when expression exhaustive. And I think it is a good feature and a good practice to use when as an exhaustive version of it. So I back it, and my event also be implemented, and everything is okay. So in next step, I must fix other issues. In this method, I must update my state. I have mutable state. So mutable state dot update, we can use this function and call it dot copy, because it's a data class, and use copy. I must override is loading to true. Yes, it's done. In success scenario, also we must update our state, and copy our news list, our data list, that copy must be copy. Control V, and I comment it. And at last, we must handle error case. Mutable state dot update it dot copy. I have a error field, yes, and copy this new one. Oh, this is a new object, so I can use this. I must have those two property in its default mode, so I must create a new brand state. So state, this error field must be equal to this. I think now it is okay. I fix it. Error, yes, okay. I can remove it and comment this section. All right, we are good to go, and this function is be okay. I can delete these lines. In the next method, So this is get favorite from get favorite news use case. This data come from my room database. I have a local data source, and in each iteration of favorite list, it's do some state changes. We can use as past mutable state of dot value dot map. I can't rename this one for more clarity. So this is a map operation, and this is my updated news list. So in this state, I must update my state list. Update it's dot copy. Yes, I must update my news list. Updated list. Okay. Now this function is also be okay. So this function now can be private because I must call it from my event function that now can be private, and there is no reason to accessible from out of my view model. All right, my view model is prepared, and migration of this file is done. All right, so in the next and I think last step, we must fix our screen. We don't need this, also this. For example, if I see an example, I have another helper function called use. This use take a view model. If I show the implementation, take a view model in a unidirectional view model, and separate for me my state, effect, and event. This return data class that contains three entities that I want in my screen. So as you can see, I use the constructor feature of Kotlin that destruct it to three variable named state, effect, and event. Also, you can see the type of that state, a fellow of type effect and an function. Yes, function. All right. So we must add it into the our screen. In this level, I can delete this line. It's okay. If you notice that I have two in screen level, I have two compose level. First for compose first for my screen that gets primitive type, object type, not complex object like view model. It's traditionally pass view model with hilt view model in screen level that makes your screen not previewable. So for solving this issue, we can separate this composable and have an root type and a screen type. Now in your preview you can use you can get a preview of your screen and show it in several states. I will show you in the future, but we must first resolve these errors and make it okay. This type be news list contract dot state, and this is be okay. So up here for handling effects, we collect in launch effect. This is another helper class that it's basically a launch effect that watch your flow, and if flow have emitted any data, it's respond and collect and do what it must do, and call any function that you add to it. So I add it for here, and in the last step we must set up our event. As you can see in MVVM world, we call viewModel dot its methods. But in MVI, we emit an event in event channel. As you can see, I invoked event and pass it an event object. I can copy it all and paste it here. News list contract, and everything be all right. And I must update here news list contract dot state, and I must edit my provider class. Its generic type be news list contract dot state. I copy it and fix these classes. It is a good strategy for provide a default value for your screen in different situation. In situation that you have data, you are in loading state, or you are in error state. Yes. So in this step we can take preview and see what I mean when I say we can separate a screen and root level. As you can see, I have my screen in different situation. I don't set up yet dark theme because I have a theme preview that use light and dark version of the composable. This is dark but it's bright. It's okay. This is error state. Also in the light version, data state, loading state, and error state. It is a good strategy, I think. Also you can have annotation for your devices. Also it's be very useful that you preview in different aspect ratio, like phone, foldable, tablet, and desktop. It's a good practice. It's a good practice, but in this moment I don't have it, and it's okay. So everything is okay, and I think our migration be done. So let's recap. I added a contract that contains my state, effect, and event for several situations and so on. In next step, I implemented in my view model and add necessary objects. Also, as I mentioned, you can use basic state flow and channel for your event. It's okay. You can you do not must have interface like this. You must have three entity, as I said: state, effect, channel, and you must remember to override or add event function in your view model. That in view model scope, event always be watching the all incoming events and respond according to it. And in the last step, in your screen level, you must observe your state and effect, as you can see, and in all on-click blocks or any other position that you basically call your view model functions, you must add an intent in your event channel or event object in your view model, and that's all. If you do this step, your project be migrated to the MVI style. All right, and this is nothing to say. Have a nice day and see you in the next episode.